Marketing an expert service business in 2026. Welcome to another edition of the Bill Hauser podcast. Today, we're going to break down specifically how to market an expert service business. What is an expert service business? It's any business where a prospect or a lead hires you based on your expertise or your business's perceived expertise, such as lawyers, doctors, home services contractors, financial advisors. There's limitless industries that fall into this expertise trap where your expertise, the reason that people actually hire you, end up becoming the rut in your business and end up, holding you back unless you learn how to properly package it, train other people on how to live and breathe your personal expertise as the founder of the company. But then more importantly, and what we're going to talk about today, how do you market it? How do you take your expertise and bring it to the marketplace at scale so that hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of your prospective clients, patients, customers can learn about you as the expert and actually hire your business at scale because you're putting your expertise out there in the open. So in our own business, we break down our marketing. Now for our business, S&B Team Legal, we have multiple different companies. We have S&B Team Legal, that's the leading law firm marketing and coaching business in the nation. Then we have Go SMB, which is our marketing and fractional executive business for non-law firms, which is for every other industry. We have Attorney Assistant, which is our virtual assistant company for attorneys, et cetera, et cetera. We have learned how to package our expertise in our marketing and bring it to the masses, especially in a tight vertical like lawyers in two of our businesses and to other industries in our Go S&B company. So I'm going to break down what actually works when it comes to marketing an expert services business. How do you package your expertise intelligently? How do you do it in such a way that you generate qualified leads? And then how do you turn those leads into clients, patients, or customers? So let's start with the most important thing, which is what is your dominant lead magnet, or what are your top 3 lead magnets? Okay. So in our business, we spend about $8 or $9 million a year on our sales and marketing for our own company. Across all the companies, it's probably closer to $10 million a year. And we are able to segment where we spend our marketing and sales dollars based on initiative, based on strategy. And one of the most important things that we segment our marketing on is lead magnet. And I'm going to try to kind of break this down so you can start thinking of how you're going to package your expertise in different ways so that you can bring it to the marketplace at scale. This allows you to not be dependent on word of mouth any longer. This allows you to find right fit clients, patients, customers to seek you out, right? Rather than depending on your personal relationship Rolodex as your primary source of customers and clients. And it really allows you to become independent and autonomous in how you generate revenue. So lead magnets. So the most famous lead magnet of all is the whole book strategy, right? You write a book on your industry, you become the thought leader on that topic, and then you find ways to market or promote that book to the public, right? Now there's many different versions and variations of books, right? So books is basically content in the written and visual format with no audio, right? Unless it's an audiobook, then that's strictly audio. And we do need to think about the vehicles through which you're delivering content, written word, image, and or audio, and or video. And we'll mix and match these. So let's talk about books. So books are one of the most tried and true ways to gain that thought leadership expertise. And, we wrote the leading book on how to scale a law firm, which is called Law Firm Growth Accelerator. We're just now doing the finishing touches on our book, Business Growth Accelerator, which takes our proven expert service business scaling model So we'll be releasing that shortly. And the reason why we're putting all of our best secrets in a book is we love giving away our best secrets so that we can improve the economy and help small businesses grow. It's definitely partially a passion project to write a book. I mean, it took us like 4 years to write our book, so costed us hundreds of thousands of dollars in research and additional, help and designers and all the consultants that we had to do to get all our facts straight for the book and everything. So it definitely was not an easy task to write a book, but part of it was passion project, but the other part of it was it's an excellent lead generator. It's an excellent brand builder, right? So our book is one of the things that we give to the marketplace that has the highest impact on every single lead who gets their hand on that book. And if you really look at a brand, over time, a brand is going to be a reflection of how much value you gave to the marketplace, whether that's entertainment or education value or a mix of both. Your brand is going to be determined by how much actual value you gave to the marketplace over time. And that value can be given through your marketing. That value can be given through your product. But the best businesses give value through their marketing and their product or service, right? So we try to hit both of those categories. But in our marketing, our book is one of the most transformational ways to provide value to people, right? If somebody reads our book, the chance of them changing their life and business forever is exponentially higher than if they watch a dancing video of someone on our team on TikTok, right? The chance of changing someone's life through a 15-second TikTok video is very slim. The chance of changing someone's life, if they read our book's like 525 pages, if you read every word of our book on how to scale your business, it's going to change your life and business forever. So I love marketing lead magnets or assets to the marketplace that provide intrinsic value because it builds your brand over time. But sometimes the things that have the biggest impact on your market are the hardest to digest, which we'll talk about in a concept, which is why you need to break things down into bite-sized pieces. So our book is 525 pages. If you read the book from start to finish, it'll change your life forever. What percent of people actually read our book from start to finish who buy it? Not that many, I would assume, right? Because it's hard to read a 525-page book. You have so many other things going on, it's hard to do, right? Okay. So how do we make the book more digestible? So this leads to the second form of lead magnet, right? Why is it called a lead magnet? It's because it acts as a magnet for leads, right? When you give free value out to the marketplace and you say, hey, give me your name and your email and I'll send you this thing, right? That's how you magnetize leads to your business, is by giving free value. The companies who don't learn how to do lead magnets, they end up depending on what we call free consultation ads, which is, hey, we've been in business for X number of years, and if you want to talk to an expert on our team, then put your information in below and we'll book a call, right? And what happens is, you might get some calls when you do content like that on paid ads, especially if you have a good offer and a good risk reversal. But the problem is it doesn't really build your brand, right? Over time, if you spend thousands and thousands of dollars promoting an ad just trying to get people to book calls with you, it's kind of selfish, right? Whereas if you promote ads trying to sell a book, which is a ton of value for someone, then you get known as a value-driven company, not a self-focused company, right? So that leads to my second point is the book is super valuable, but it's hard to digest. So then how do you make it more digestible? And that's where webinars come in, right? Is figuring out how to, and let me back up. Like your book is should be like all of the stuff that someone would get when they hire your business. Everything, all of your best secrets should be in that book. It should be enough for someone to do it on their own and not hire your business, right? That's how you know the book is legitimately exhibiting your expertise so that you are truly a thought leader. But let's say people don't read your book and we need to find a way to get them information through another vehicle, video. That's where webinars come in. So how can we package your book and turn it into a 1 hour webinar of sorts so that you can bring people through the key points in your book, almost like a flash preview or cliff notes of the book, bring them through the most important principles, epiphanies, mindset shifts, takeaways from your book, but give it to them in 1 hour, right? And deliver it to them via video so that it's a little bit more entertaining and engaging, and they get to earn trust. You get to earn their trust by them experiencing the founder of the company explain these big takeaways from the book, right? So that's the second pillar, is some form of video marketing methodology. For us, webinars are a critical way. A third way of delivering it via video is through a boot camp, right? So we run educational boot camps. We've had, I don't know, probably over 100,000 people sign up for our boot camps over the last couple of years. And what we do, it's all the same principles that you could get in our book, because if you have a book on a topic and then you teach something completely different in the content that you give online, it shows that you don't really have anything to stand for, right? So the best brands, especially education-based brands, are those that rely on a couple of key principles and are repetitious about those principles constantly, right? So it's super important to find your core messaging, the things you stand for, the things that make you truly an expert in what you do, and to bank on them and continually come back to them rather than reinvent the wheel. So our 3-day boot camps are designed to do that, where day 1 is on all the mindset principles, day 2 is on all the lead generation principles, day 3 is on all the management principles. And we try to very closely marry what's in our book so that now we're delivering our book via hard copy. We also have an ebook version of it. We also have an audiobook version of the book. Then we have 1-hour webinar version of the book, Cliff Notes version. Then we have a multi-day boot camp engaging event version of the book, right? If you look at what changes someone's life the most, I would say the boot camp, the multi-day immersive event, and the book are probably tied in terms of the level of value that someone can actually take away and apply to their life. And I think those two things, the book and the interactive trainings that we do, i.e. boot camps, are two things that build our brand almost better than anything else, just because they're intrinsic value. It's not just us asking for a call. It's us giving someone millions of dollars of free insight on how to grow their company. And then, we ask for a call, but that's not like people can tell when they read our stuff and engage with our stuff. Like we're giving from a place of transparency and authenticity. We are really delivering value to people and earning the right to ask them to book a call with our company. So these are 3 vehicles of lead magnets. Then you have so everyone needs a flagship lead magnet, or 3. This is like your flagship messaging. These are the things that you, if they're truly valuable, you go out to the marketplace and you promote aggressively. And then on the back end, you can turn that into book calls for your business, right? Another category of lead magnet is what we call your tripwires, right? So let's say you have a cheat sheet on the 10 hacks to ensure X, Y, and Z result, or to avoid X, Y, Z pain point regarding X problem, right? Whatever your area of expertise is, right? Cheat sheets, these are typically 1 to 5 page quick hitting documents, are usually going to be more like your tripwire stuff. Like, you're not going to change someone's life from a 1 to 5 page cheat sheet. You're just not. You're going to give them a little bit of value through that cheat sheet. You're going to earn a little bit of trust through that cheat sheet, but your goal is to get them to consume something way more valuable than that of yours so that they can walk away with a bunch of value, right? But a cheat sheet or a tripwire lead magnet is usually going to be something that's super cheap to acquire a lead for, but it's going to be a lot harder to book a call from, right? So every business needs a cheat sheet lead magnet, or something that's like a tripwire that's easy for someone to raise their hand for and say, yeah, I want that. So if you promote it online, you get a lot of people opting in for it. That builds your email list, and then you can follow up with them via email and turn those into qualified appointments on the back end. Another type of lead magnet to be aware of is your content strategy, okay? Now, this has become, in essence, one of the most powerful lead magnets for those who crack the code on it. I think Alex Hormozi is a great example of this, who amassed a very big following on social. All of the videos and free content that Hormozi has put out acts as one of the most powerful lead magnets ever, right? He builds so much trust with his audience through the videos that he makes that he actually can just run ads on social media that are high on the ask scale, right? Because he earns so much trust up front through his content that he's able to just ask you to book a call with this team, right? But for businesses that don't have huge social media followings, I always caution people to copy the strategy of someone with a huge following and apply it to a business without a huge following, because you don't have that earned trust, right? And the things that someone can do who has a huge audience is often going to be very different from what you can do with a niche audience or a small audience, right? Or maybe you're a newer brand. Maybe you haven't done a lot of marketing and you've been grassroots, word of mouth for a lot of your past, and then you go out into the internet marketing sphere and you try to get aggressive with it. You're going to be up for a rude awakening, because it is not going to be as easy as you think. There's going out into the marketplace and running advertisements to people who don't know you is one of the hardest things to ever crack the code on in business, right? But if you lead with value in your advertising, it's a lot easier to crack the code on it, because then you trigger reciprocity in everyone who consumes your stuff. And then over time, they start trusting you. They start understanding that you have value that you can give their business. And that perceived value trickles through when they have a sales call with a member of your team, trickles through when they have objections, or maybe they're a little skeptical moving forward or hiring your company. They're going to remember all the value that you gave them prior to the point of them having that sales call, prior to the point of you asking for their business. They're going to remember all that value previously, and that is going to help your business case in many, many ways, right? So when in doubt, lead with value, right? Lead with value, especially if you don't have a big brand, and especially if you're doing advertising, and especially if you're doing it for a targeted niche, right? Value, value, value. You want to feel like you're giving away all your best stuff. You want to feel like you are being way too open. You're giving away all your best secrets. If a competitor listened to your stuff, they're going to steal it, and that's when you know you're hitting the right level, right? Is when you're giving away so much content for free with no restrictions that you actually feel like maybe you're giving away too much. That's right around when you're going to start finding your momentum. Unfortunately, it takes over 100 videos and 100 pieces of content to really find that authentic voice. That's why I always say, the most important thing is just to get started, right? I mean, we have over 100,000 lawyers on our email list, but I don't have a big brand. I'm not some huge famous celebrity or business thought leader, but we have a really strong niche brand, right? And that helped us build a $50 million company this year as 34 years old. So I don't really need to be a huge celebrity. I do need to know how to speak to the target market that I serve, right? And I need to be really good at that, but I don't need to be everything to everyone. And I think that's another big mistake that people make, is they've done studies on this, on the importance of getting known by a lot of people or being trusted by a small subset of those who can actually buy your product or service, right? And time again, when they run studies on this, especially for B2B service providers and B2C service providers, really service-based businesses, it's more important to be known by a cohort and trusted by that cohort than it is known by a lot of people, but not really trusted by them and not really speaking to those who can buy your product. I would take the buy my product group every day of the week, right? Because the group of people who can buy my product are usually going to be the group of people I can help the most because I'm an expert in serving those businesses, right? Whereas those who are never going to buy my product in the first place, A, they're not going to be as interested in what I have to say because I'm not an expert in it, but B, they're probably not going to get as much value from me. So it's actually a lose-lose for me to get the attention of people who I can't serve, right? Now, there's some people who find ways around this and they, kind of sell their soul to becoming a celebrity and doing all this crazy outlandish stuff just to build an audience. But the downside of that, and this is an actual downside because I've had many clients of mine who have done this and gotten millions and millions of views on videos they put out, and then their business gets flooded with thousands of unqualified, irrelevant leads calling their company, which clogs up their sales calls and their team, which then plummets their results in their business because you got clogged with so many unqualified leads. I prefer to be a little bit more surgical with what I do, but you can find your own voice within this spectrum, right? Of how mass market do you want to be and how niche market do you want to be, and somewhere in the middle of mass market and niche market, you're going to find where you're at on that scale. So content. Also, let's say your content doesn't amass a huge following. People are going to use your content to research you, right? So they're going to do a Google search. They're going to type in your business name. They're going to type in your name. If they find you through an ad online, especially social media ads, 70% of leads from social come from dark social, which is the untrackable stuff that happens after they see your ad, right? So they see your ad on social. They don't even click on the ad. They instead open up another tab in their browser. They type in the name of the advertiser's account, whether that's your name or your business name. They type in that plus reviews. They look you up online. They do their own research, right? And they ultimately form a conclusion as to whether or not you're a credible thought leader. And when that is done, it either is going to reinforce their purchase decision or their interest in working with your company, or if they don't find anything online, they're not going to feel that trust with you and they're not going to proceed, right? And this is when a lot of people who get started with social media marketing, they'll generate a bunch of leads, but those leads won't respond to them when you reach out, right? So let's say you get someone to download your stuff through a social media ad, whether that's, sign up for a webinar, get an ebook version of your book, sign up for a cheat sheet, whatever, and then you have someone on your team follow up with them to try and contact them. Well, the reason they don't return your call is because they don't trust you, right? Or maybe they went to go research you after they downloaded your thing, and then they didn't find anything online, and they thought, well, maybe this company isn't legitimate, right? So, but if they find super credible content online, and then they find one video on YouTube, and that leans into them consuming 5 straight videos of you, which are each 15 minutes long, and then you reach out to them, well, 5 times 15 is 75 minutes that they spent with you. That person has already spent an hour and 15 minutes with you on video. Then you reach out to them, and they're going to be pleasantly surprised that you reached out to them once they've had digestible content that they could consume of yours outside of the thing that they downloaded from that ad, right? Also, your content convinces people to consume your content. Okay, I know it's a weird concept, but if you have really good content online, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, social, like educational, valuable content, you have really good content online, maybe a podcast like this. If you have great content online, and let's say that they bought your book, well, if they know you deliver the goods and they listen to all your stuff, right? Like, then the chance of them reading your book and actually attending that free training that they signed up for is exponentially higher because they believe that you actually have some credence and some good ideas because they saw your content online. which is super low barrier. It's very easy for someone to watch 5 minutes of a YouTube video. Very hard for them to pick up a book, A, want to read that book, and B, sit down and dedicate the hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of time to read the book from start to finish. So sometimes your content online can be the tactic that drives someone to actually consume your content so that you earn their permission to earn their trust, right? From the little bits of value they've gotten through your content previously. So all these things tie together into an ecosystem, right? An expert service business is, in essence, your marketing strategy is packaged expertise made entertaining and educational. That's really all it is. You package your expertise, you deliver some of that packaged expertise through your YouTube channel, long form, through your shorts, whether that's YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, etc., TikTok, your short bite-sized pieces, right? Short content. And then what you promote online, your lead magnets, like perhaps a book, perhaps free trainings, perhaps boot camps, perhaps tripwire lead magnets like free cheat sheets, et cetera, and you basically create this ecosystem of packaged expertise, the stuff that makes you irreplaceable in your business, right? Around your expertise now becomes packaged, becomes front and center in your marketing messaging, and then we're able to leverage that information, that expertise about you, and differentiate your business from everyone else in your niche and in your market by front-loading that expertise so that someone doesn't have to do a consultation with you or read through hundreds of pages on your website to find out what you're actually good at. You front-load that through sharing your expertise publicly through a package strategy, right? And what this does, often the mistake that people make once expert service business owners learn this, what they do is first, you're going to get a huge increase in leads. You're going to get people calling you for your proven processes rather than just because they heard about you from so-and-so. They're going to be saying, hey, I saw your ad on XYZ topic. I saw your videos, right? I know you are the thought leader. How can I hire you, right? They're going to be basically asking you to accept their money, right? When you built this level of trust. So it becomes more like order taking, right? But the mistake that people make is once you get to that order taking mode where you have leads basically begging for you to accept them as clients or patients, then the mistake that expert service business owners make is, everyone calls and they want to talk to me. No. The reason they're calling is because your expertise piqued their attention. So then all you have to do in your sales calls is bridge the gap. If you want to have a sales team do your sales instead of the owner of the business involved in sales, you need to find a way to bridge that gap and say, hey, just want to proactively tell you this, that because so-and-so, the owner of the business who you saw videos from, is so focused on training our team on his or her expertise and allowing us to live and breathe it, but also bringing that expertise out into the market, so-and-so is not able to work with you one-on-one. But the beautiful thing is we've trained our entire team on these processes, and everything that you saw in the videos and everything that you saw online is exactly what we practice in-house. Is that okay with you? Boom. And now just by adding that to your sales process, you've now handled the objection of, I just want to work with the owner. I just want to talk to the owner, right? Oftentimes that's more a belief than it is reality, that they need to talk to the owner, right? So then the next step is, once you've found a way to generate leads and build that trust by putting your expertise out into the open through your marketing, especially via social media, and you found a way to get the owner off the phone, whether that's you or whether you work for the owner of the business, now you have a self-policing sales and marketing process, which can generate new leads, turn those leads into patients, clients, or customers, right? And you create a revenue engine, right? And that revenue engine has inputs, which is your marketing budget, the content you put out, the lead magnets you put out. Another input is all the sales processes, scripts, templates, sales team members, who books the appointment, who closes, etc. And now you have a self-managing revenue engine. And honestly, for most service-based businesses, the lacking revenue engine and predictability around how to scale revenue is the number one reason that the businesses don't scale. Like, people say that it's, well, if only I had my clone. No. Most times it's you just don't have enough demand. Because I promise you, if you crack the code on how do I get too many clients to sign up with my business, okay? If you create this self-managing revenue engine, this is what nobody teaches in any of the other business books, is that the revenue engine should drive the rest of your business scaling. You need to have the problem of too many clients signing up, too many patients, too many customers. You need to have that problem to then force yourself out of the weeds, force yourself out of the day-to-day business to then become the designer of your business, not the doer in your business, to force yourself to hire your team to be able to handle that demand, hire more salespeople to handle the increased leads, right? Hire more marketing staff to handle the increased marketing. Once you crack the code on the revenue engine, you will scale your business. You will find a way to get out of your own way and allow that revenue engine to drive the scaling of your business, okay? So, hope some of the principles in here will help you build that revenue engine for you. And I promise you, once you do and you find a way to package that expertise, get the owner eliminated from the sales process, you will be seeing some growth that maybe you thought wasn't possible for you. So I hope you got value from this, and I will see you in the next video. And that is how to market an expert service business in 2026 the right way.